Welcome to another episode of Programming Socks. The last episode was in July. I want to talk about something that I feel honestly. I don't know if people are being cheap or what. Most mobile plans come with unlimited data nowadays, but I don't know. You gotta pay like an extra $5, like seriously, $10. And usually when I'm hanging out with this one specific person, right? They're always mentioning to me like, Andre, hold on, real quick, hold on, let me connect to the Wi-Fi here. Like, bruh. And I'll ask them, don't you have unlimited data? They'll say, I do. So why are you using the public Wi-Fi? And I think I told this story before, and you probably have an answer to that, but I'm gonna tell you why it just doesn't make any sense. I told this story before. When I was 14, we used to do this thing where we set up hotspots in public areas. So like, here's an example. Let's say whoever's watching, you decide to go to Domino's, right? You're trying to get some pizza, and you notice there's a Wi-Fi hotspot available called Domino's Wi-Fi. Or maybe you're at the airport, right? You got to fly somewhere and you have no service here and there's a connection, a Wi-Fi called free airport Wi-Fi, right? You have no idea though who is actually running that hotspot. It's probably not Domino's or the airport. When I was a kid, going back to the story, I used to set up fake hotspots. I think the term is called evil twin. I'll like go to the local library and make a fake Wi-Fi connection simply called library, and people will connect to it. They'll just see, this library has Wi-Fi. Okay, it's just called library, and it's not passworded. Sure, let me just connect to it, and it'll work, right? It'll allow them to connect to the internet. I just set up a hotspot for them. But you can literally sniff out people's internet data. I would just be on my laptop doing something completely irrelevant while I had a program in the background literally logging all the websites they went to, all the data and credentials they sent to websites. And here's the thing, most websites are secured through HTTPS, but not every program or app you have installed on your computer or whatever device that connects to the internet encrypts your data. So yeah, your browser may be safe depending on the websites you go to, but these apps aren't. And this is a very common thing. You'll be connecting to public Wi-Fi's who you don't even know who is genuinely hosting that, nor do you know what they're gonna do with your data. This is how easily people get their accounts stolen and other stuff stolen. By the way, the reason why I was doing this when I was 14 was not to steal people's information, by the way. This is when I started, you guys know the Aku anime lore, right? I was really young as a kid. Like I was starting to get into malware development and all this stuff, and I was developing my own tools to test things out. And I was more or less snooping people's data. I'll keep it a bean here, okay? But I never stole anybody's stuff. Like I never just like, that's your login for that. I never did. I was just a curious kid who was experimenting. But this is one thing about public Wi-Fi's here. Another issue using someone's public Wi-Fi is that whoever is hosting the Wi-Fi, if they're smart enough, they can DNS spoof or reroute your request. So if you try to go to a popular website, like let's say, I'm using the airport public Wi-Fi, I'm going to read stuff on Twitter. It's actually very much possible to reroute your data sent to Twitter on the hotspot network to collect your credentials. And they'll set it up with all popular websites, not just Twitter, any popular website people go to. And then they'll probably prompt you to log in, right? But they'll intercept the data before it goes through the encryption protocols. So yes, going to an HTTPS site is ideal, but if the Wi-Fi hoster sets things up correctly, it's irrelevant at this point. They're just seeing everything you're doing. Like, why do you, okay, sure, it's more convenient for you. Yeah, I need that public Wi-Fi, and then you don't even know. What I've also seen is people redirecting network data through updates. Like, you might connect to this public Wi-Fi with your laptop, right? And a lot of popular programs will obviously connect to a website to check if an update is needed for the program, right? But if someone intercepts that, they can redirect you to another download that is malicious. Rather, they can fake that you need an update. Imagine it says, I don't think it's that simple for Windows, right? But let's just use this as an example. Imagine you open up your laptop, you connect to this public Wi-Fi, and it says, you have a Windows update that's due. Oh, I need to update my Windows right now, but it's public Wi-Fi. I might as well do it since I'm bored right now. I'm in the library, I'm at the airport, right? So let me just update my Windows. And you do. And because someone rerouted your network, you decide to download it, and this whole time you're downloading malware. You're downloading something that's going to infect you or compromise you. I think the most common one that people use nowadays to steal people's credentials that I've seen, and people fall for us all the time, especially people who travel, is creating a fake portal. So they'll make like a Starbucks public Wi-Fi hotspot, right? You go to Starbucks, oh, public Wi-Fi Starbucks, because people like to be at their laptops at Starbucks to do whatever, right? And then you connect to it, and it will ask you to log into your Starbucks account or something, right? You know what I mean? And you guys know what I'm talking about here. They do this at hotels, for example. You always got to log into something before you can use the internet. And what happens is, with the Starbucks example, guess what? You try to log in, or they want your username and password, log into your Starbucks account. Well, they'll steal your info. There you go. You got your Starbucks account stolen. You got your credentials stolen. And some of these login portals, they'll literally mention, I've seen this. It'll be like, oh, you connected to this hotspot, but the data is the Wi-Fi, the data, how much data you can use is limited per person. But if you put your credit card number in, you can go over the limit. It will be charged automatically to your card. Like, bruh. And people will put their card in who don't know any better. And you may be listening to this and think, cool. This is all common sense. Just know what public Wi-Fi hotspots are legit. That is not true. For anyone who knows a little bit, even the smallest amount, if you experimented with network sniffing, let's say you played around with Wireshark on your computer, right? You realize something when you do network sniff. You notice that when you capture network traffic on Wireshark, for example, you can see all traffic on the network. Not just your traffic, all traffic on the network. So you don't even need to fall for someone making that fake hotspot. Someone right next to you on that public, legit Wi-Fi can monitor your network activity. You don't even know, a person could be sitting right across from you. He's looking at, he sees what you're doing. He sees your network data, sees what websites you're going to, everything. You know what's funny? Again, HTTPS is designed to prevent issues with this, right? But you know what isn't always protected by encryptions? File transfers. Oh, I'm just going to upload something or download something. Well, I can't assure you whoever is file transferring or whatever service you're using is safe. And again, HTTPS is used to encrypt the data that's sent, right? That doesn't mean it necessarily stops somebody from seeing what websites you're going to. So if you feel like that's not weird to you, somebody is probably at a public website at like a cafe or something, or like an airport or something, and they know what websites you're going to while they're sitting like across the cafe, like they're stalking you like that. You don't even know this person. Is that not weird to you? Or I don't know how that doesn't make people paranoid. And even if you have something else going on with this, like, it's just weird. You know what I'm saying? And look, again, you don't even need to set up a hotspot for this, a fake hotspot. And I'm not trying to encourage anyone here to do this, what I'm about to say, but I'm saying if you have a laptop and some network monitoring tool, like to capture packets, like I mentioned Wireshark, right? And you go to a public area like a cafe, connect to their public Wi-Fi and check the data, monitor the data. You'll notice something. And this goes back to what I mentioned earlier about, hey, even though websites may encrypt stuff, some apps don't do that. Look, so what's the solution, right? If you need to connect to a public Wi-Fi, it needs to have WPA at minimum. People get this confused often. When you see a Wi-Fi network with the password, 99.9% of the time, it's using WPA. WPA is not just a password system for your Wi-Fi. It's also an encryption protocol. So if you ever connect to a public Wi-Fi, go for the ones that have passwords. But how do you know? How would you know what these passwords are? Well, if you don't know what the password is, then you're out of luck. That's just simply the answer, or you could guess it, right? But if you do know the password, even though it's shared, right? It's much more difficult for that like Wireshark example to work, because on a public non-WPA or non-passworded Wi-Fi network, to simplify it for people, when you're on a non-passworded Wi-Fi network, your data isn't encrypted between your device and the hotspot or access point. That means all traffic that goes through your network will be in plain text for everyone to see. Everyone to see. HTTPS only provides protection for specific data going in and out of encrypted websites and services. Specific data. It's not designed to fix Wi-Fi networks that aren't protected or encrypted. And here's another thing to add. If you need to connect to a public Wi-Fi and you need to connect to it despite it not having a password, let's say you're about to take the risk, you're going to risk it all right now. This is why you need a VPN. If you're going to connect to a public Wi-Fi that isn't encrypted, connect to your VPN before you do anything, because VPNs will add encryption to all your traffic. And this applies to even those, quote, evil twin hotspots. Let's say you fall for that, right? You connect to a Wi-Fi that some malicious person set up. Well, they can sniff your data, but that VPN you have on will encrypt it through its own protocols and algorithms. Sure, it's a bit slower, but it's completely worth it. You know what I'm saying? It destroys the risk of somebody just like violating you. So in summary to this episode of Programming Socks, unless you guys have some extra advice to give, don't connect to public Wi-Fi's unless it's passworded with WPA or some form of whatever. And you got to know the password. If it's not passworded, but you really need to use public Wi-Fi, get on a VPN before you do anything. This episode is found on Spotify and YouTube. I'm out.